it has already been 6 months since I got this car. And this is 2012 Volkswagen Jetta 2.5 liter. In this video, I just wanted to talk with you guys about my 6-month ownership experience with this car. Sorry, it's a little bit dirty today since the weather wasn't too nice for the last couple of days in Vancouver. And this is actually my first car. And it's not special just because it's my first car, but it is also the car that made it possible for me to film this POV videos for you guys. And my smooth driving video, which you can check right now, has already gotten more than 110,000 views on YouTube. All thanks to this car. I just wanted to walk through what's it like to own this car, what's it like to drive on a daily basis, what are some maintenance stuff I've been doing into it. As my first car, I wanted something that was affordable, reliable, not costly to maintain, and fun to drive. And this car hits all of these boxes. The main sign that you know that this car is reliable is not because of this logo, which is not usually associated with reliability, but this 2.5 sign. This means that this car gets the 2.5 liter 5-cylinder engine that produces 170 horsepower and 171 pound-feet of torque. And this is one of the most reliable engines that Volkswagen have ever produced. And the other cool thing about this engine, let's actually take a quick look at it while we're talking about it, is the fact that it's a 5-cylinder engine. So it's not your usual 4-cylinder engine that is quite boring or something. It actually produces a good noise, which I like, and it has a bigger displacement of 2.5 liters, which I find quite meaty as well when you push on the throttle. So I feel like it's a great common ground between 4-cylinder engines, which are more efficient, maybe sometimes more reliable, and 6-cylinder engines, which are great for the noise, for the power, but are less efficient. So this is a great middle ground. So let's actually take a look inside of the cabin and discuss it a bit more. And here's, by the way, the key of this era of Volkswagen cars. It's a simple key ignition without push button start. Let's quickly talk about some comfort features of this car since it's not too many of them. I like this sunroof I got here, sunglasses holder, which is pretty useful. We don't have any stereo buttons on our steering wheel or for our cruise control, but we get some cool physical buttons, which are rare these days, for your dashboard brightness, for your lights, for your mirrors, for your windows as well. And we have great buttons for infotainment. And this, by the way, is not the original infotainment that got shipped with this car. I had a boring radio thing before that came from the factory, and I found this great OEM replacement, which comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We got great physical controls for your AC. All very simple, not like the current generations of the Jetta or Golf, where everything is capacitive touch or just hidden in the infotainment menus. So let's actually get on the road and discuss more about how this car drives. So as I said, this car has a 2.5 liter 5-cylinder engine and 170 horsepower. I feel like it's quite enough for this car because it only weighs around 3,100 pounds. It's not too heavy, so it doesn't take lots of power to get this car going. I find it not exceptionally quick, but I feel like it's quick enough for your daily routine, for your daily drives in the city and on the highway as well. I've taken this car over to Oregon from Vancouver, British Columbia, which was, I feel like, a 1,000-mile trip both ways, and it handled it very well. It was very comfortable on the highway, and it was not too noisy, so we didn't have much fatigue after finishing our trip. But before we discuss in more detail about the driving characteristics of this car, let's quickly discuss for how much money I got this car to better evaluate our value for money proposition. So as I said, I was searching for my first car to be affordable, and affordable to me at that point in my life meant around $10,000 US. As a person who has graduated college a couple years ago, I didn't want to go into debt by having car payments or car loan, so I decided that I wanted to get one of these. And the craziest and the rarest things about this car is that I found it sitting on a car dealership lot at 18,000 miles, which is actually pretty insane for the car that is actually 12 years old. Apparently, it was driven by an older individual who was just driving it to a grocery store. He was retired, so he didn't go to work in this car. And when I was searching for the alternatives for this car, I found out that to get Mazda 3, Honda Civic, or Corolla for this price, it would have about 80,000 miles and more. So I feel like I got a very good deal by purchasing the Volkswagen Jetta. I feel like this car is underappreciated because people are thinking that Volkswagen is unreliable by default, and they haven't done enough research to find out that the 2.5 liter engine from the Volkswagen is actually very, very reliable, just as the Toyotas, Hondas, or Mazdas are. I guess the only downside from this powertrain is that it's maybe less efficient. I think I get about 24 miles per gallon in the city and 32 to 33 on the highway, which is not the best, but it's efficient for me. So the immediate highlight of this car is the fact that it's just comfortable. It's quite well insulated for 2012 era of cars. I was test driving the Mazda 3 and this Honda Civic actually from the same kind of year, and it was much noisier from the inside. The ride is very compliant over the bumps. Maybe over the bigger bumps, I can feel the jerkiness, but other than this, the suspension is set up very well. And I guess it's important to let you know that 90% of my commute is in the city. So it was important for me to get a car that was comfortable in a bumper-to-bumper traffic. And some people would say, you're saying this car is fun, but it's a usual economy sedan from Volkswagen. What's fun about it? And for me, the fun part is that most of the cars, as you can see even around me, are SUVs, which are not very sporty to drive at all due to their weight. So it's quite fun to toss around corners. And thanks to this powertrain, this car doesn't have problems to keep up with the traffic, whether in the city or on the highway, it doesn't matter. And even though it's an automatic car, it's still pretty fun to use because the sport mode works pretty well in this car, and I have an ability to change the gears myself. So I can put the car in the manual mode, and the coolest part is that I can use rev matching on my own. This car does have automatic rev matching, so I have to rev match it myself using the gas pedal whenever I want to downshift. So let's downshift into 4th and I'll explain to you. So now we are in 6th, 5th, I rev matched it myself, 4th, and now let's hear the engine. And now I can upshift again. And I find it quite fun. Yes, it's not a manual experience. I don't have a clutch pedal to be even more engaged. But for what it is, for being an economy car, I feel like it's quite fun. So let's talk about handling. Even though it's quite fun to toss around corners, it's not a Miata, BRZ, or Honda Civic Kasai. It's not going to be as fun as those cars. And this is probably one of the downsides, because what makes it comfortable makes it less sporty and worse at handling. But one of the good things about the older cars, and including this one, is that I get actually lots of feedback from my steering wheel. Even hitting these corners, the car is very planted onto the ground. I don't have a lot of body roll. Again, for what it is, for $10,000 US, it's great. The other highlights of this car are its inputs, such as braking and accelerating. The accelerating pedal is very natural, very progressive, and since this car is not some turbocharged model, it's a naturally aspirated engine, the delivery of the power is very, very gradual and easy for you to grasp. The brake pedal feel is very nice. It's also very linear, and I like how I can modulate it very smoothly if I want it. Of course, this car lacks some comfort features, which would be nice here. For example, as you can see, I don't have the leather-wrapped steering wheel. I do have heated front seats, not in the back, but I would like to have a heated steering wheel, especially in the winter. I don't have any blind spot monitoring. That's why I do have those blind spot mirrors. The other good thing about this car is its visibility. Hopefully you can see from the video that I have great visibility all throughout 360 degrees. It's easy to navigate this car, especially in the city. As I said to you, this car is considered to be one of the most reliable Volkswagen cars ever created. The one thing that went wrong, and it's actually the maintenance item that goes wrong in any car, it's the battery. And it cost me around 200 to 250 bucks, I think, which is not bad. I feel like it's quite average for battery change. The other one thing that went wrong is the rear passenger door, that one. It doesn't open all the times when I try to open it with the remote. I haven't had time to actually figure out what's wrong there, but I'm pretty sure I can fix it by myself. But this is, some classic Volkswagen stuff that breaks. It's usually electronics. We have another good chance here to test the handling. Let's toss it here. Yeah, I have the old season tires installed, and it still has some good grip. I'm not going crazy speeds, but it's still quite fun. And listen to this noise of this 5-cylinder engine. It's so good. And I like how I can always bring this engine noise to me by playing with the gearbox. So let me go into 5th, 4th, if we go into 3rd. Not you, Siri, but you see, it's quite fun. And we go back to the normal mode. There were no other mechanical problems with this car, and knock on wood, I don't expect many going forward. Overall, this car has served its purpose very, very well. As I said, I wanted something affordable, reliable, efficient, and fun to drive. And it delivered on every single one of my criteria. It's cheaper on my insurance too, because it's an older economy car, and since I'm a young driver, the insurance premiums are crazy for newer cars and for some performance cars out there. The maintenance wasn't that bad as well. I only changed the battery since I got this car, nothing else. The future plans for maintenance, I would like to replace the oil at some point in the near future, and maybe replace the brake pads because mine started squealing a little bit. And I keep telling you that this car is great and I like it, and this is true. And it is relatively fun. But I have recently learned how to drive a manual transmission car, and I have learned that it is much, much more fun than an automatic car. And that's why I've been thinking a lot lately that I would like to keep this car for a little bit longer, maybe half a year, and replace it with something not necessarily more expensive, but definitely more fun. I'm so appreciative of this car for what it's done to my channel, to my life. It enhanced my life in Vancouver a lot. I've been getting so many good experiences with this car. I traveled with it to the US 3 times already. I've done countless road trips in this car to the places around Vancouver. And since I've been a driving and car enthusiast for so long now, it was always my dream to get my car for my own effort and work that I do, and to actually feel what it's like to own a car, what it's like to maintain the car, what it's like to live with it on a daily basis. And this car made my dream come true. But please let me know, what was your first car? And for my future plans to purchase a manual car, could you please list any options you think I should consider for around $15,000 US? And if you enjoy these kind of videos where I review my cars, review other people's cars, my driving tutorials, please consider liking and subscribing to this video. Leave a comment about my question that I asked before. Stay safe out there, keep enjoying the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.